I am now going back to work after being an entrepreneur for
Mm,
8 years, and
mm,
I taught entrepreneurs how to grow their businesses, how to leave corporate and do all these things. And now
mm,
I'm going back to work. It was
right.
a little shame, a little
Oh,
embarrassment.
yeah. Oh, I wanna go back to a couple things you said. One is that you weren't necessarily looking, but you took the call, and
Mhm.
I wanna remind people of that. Always take the call. If
Yes.
it is if taking the call is not a such a burden to you,
Mhm.
get more information. At the very least, you've gotten some, you know, networking in, maybe some practice with interviewing. Like there are few downsides to taking the call unless you literally do not have a spare minute. Hey, I'm Teen Zekas.
And hey, I'm Ileka Follette. We are business owners and moms with corporate backgrounds, and we are all about getting Black women paid in both corporate and business.
And you're listening to the Getting Black Women Paid podcast.
Let's go.
Hello, welcome back to the Getting Black Women Paid podcast. I'm Teen Zekas, your pivot and pay strategist.
And I'm Ileka Follette, your business strategist.
All right, let's get into it. This episode is about going back to work, going back to a employee role as an entrepreneur. So, we as entrepreneurs have all kinds of twists and turns in our business, and there may be reasons to go back into the corporate world, to go back um, to an employee role. Rather than being the self-employed entrepreneur. So, um, and we want to be talking about, getting paid, and the money matters. And sometimes there are reasons why you need that, that regular paycheck, the benefits, the security of employment. So we're gonna get into it. And Ileka, I think you have a special connection to this topic.
Yeah. You know what? Yeah, this is an important topic because I'm seeing it all over social media and stuff too, where people are like, would you go back to work? Would you take, a job making $50,000 a year or $100,000 or $300,000? Like, would you go back to work?
Hmm.
And you see a lot of entrepreneurs like, no, I would never go back. I can't imagine somebody telling me what to do. Or you see things like, girl, for $150,000, I'll go back, or for $200,000, I'll go back, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I've always been someone who like walked that fine line. Like I was always like, I've been an entrepreneur for 8 years now, almost 8 years. And when I was in corporate, had a lot of flexibility and freedom. So
Mm,
the fear for me about going back to work has always been around losing that flexibility and freedom, right?
sure.
At the end of the day, like you said, money matters. So when I would see the post, would you go back to work for 50,000? No, I wouldn't, right?
Hmm.
Because I'm like, at the end of the day, I look at like, and I'm not trying to sound like an elitist if anybody's hearing it like that, but at the end of the day, I look at how much I make in my business, how much I pay myself in my business, and then also the time with my family and what that like the flexibility and things like that. And
Right.
then I look at what amount of money would make me say yes, and what situation. Because
Hmm.
frankly, I always look at when I'm thinking about going back to work, it doesn't matter if it was $2 million, but a 2 hour commute, I would say no.
Right.
Because
Right. It's
2 hours,
about
yeah.
the things that matter to you. And so if you're
Mhm.
listening and $50,000 is what you would do, that's great. Do it.
Right.
Right? That number's going to be different for everybody, and the deal breakers are going to be different for everybody.
Yes.
Right? Maybe it's, I don't mind a 30-minute commute, but for 2 hours there is no amount of money you could,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
Or maybe it's, I don't actually care what the commute is, but I need a certain amount of PTO, or it's not even worth it. Or I need the flexible work hours because I got my kids, or I got
Mhm.
whatever it is, right? You need to figure out what your deal breakers are,
100%.
and then you can start to set the price, right? Like, what do I need for my situation? Because for, if 50,000 is what you need to pay the bills and get everything done,
Yeah,
do it. But if you got a mortgage where if you were making 50,000, you'd be in the hole every month, then maybe your answer is more like 150.
exactly. And then also looking at, if you're an entrepreneur going back to work, look at what you're making right now, what you're paying yourself in your business, right? That's what
Mhm.
I looked at. What am I paying myself in my business? And what is it costing me? Like, am I working a lot, or do I have a lot of time?
Right.
What is that costing me versus, versus what can I be making working for someone, right?
Right. In my business, am I working 80-hour weeks? Whereas this job would be 40 and I'd be making more?
Right, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
Because there's a lot of entrepreneurs out here working 80 hours a week. I know I've been there. Years ago, I was working 80 hours a week
Yeah.
and maybe making $47,000 in my business. And I had come from corporate making way more than that. So it was just like,
Mhm.
this was weird for me, you know?
Yeah.
But I had the passion. I wanted to grow this business. I knew what it could do for me. And
Mhm.
so it made sense for me to do that. And then eventually I was able to cut my hours back to where,
Right.
got to the point where I was just working, 20 to 25 hours a week, right?
Mhm.
And doing really well. But then I had a lot more expenses in my business, you know?
Mhm.
So that's why when we're talking about what you're paying yourself matters, because many times you have a business making, seven figures, right? But then you're paying yourself 57,000, or
Right.
whatever that number
Right.
is.
That revenue is not the number that we're comparing. It's the how much are you bringing in? And now you're also that 57,000 has to also go towards insurance,
Mhm.
towards, any of the things that a job might be handling for you.
Exactly. Yep.
And one thing I wanna highlight about your story is that you talked about different stages where different things, um, made sense,
Yeah.
right? At one point in your process, working those long hours for not as much money made sense,
Yeah. Right.
where it wouldn't now. And
Exactly.
it's okay if your situation changes in ways that mean different
Mhm.
things for you. And so
Yeah.
I think some of us can struggle with, well, I said I would never work for someone again,
Mhm.
or, I said I would never do this again, I'd never do that again. And the
Mhm.
situation has changed. Or the
Exactly.
economy has changed, right? Maybe the ways the economy has changed has impacted your business in a way that you couldn't have anticipated,
Yep.
and that's okay. So we don't need to base our decisions on what I said when I was quitting my job and flipping a table, right,
Right.
10 years ago,
Tables.
because it's different now. Now I got kids or now I've
Yeah.
got, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So being
Maybe
open to the
restructure now.
situation
Mhm.
changing.
Right, exactly, because also there's changes in the ages of the kids. I know when I started my business, my kids were, I think 2, 4, 6, and 8, right?
Mhm.
So there was a lot more needed from me in terms of I got to spend some years at home with my babies, spending time with them, things like that. The ones that were in school, I got to be the school mom and,
Mhm.
all of these different things that I always wanted. And because I had that flexibility.
Yeah.
And now my kids are all in school,
Right.
And then, but I loved how you talked about, the economy changes, sometimes what you're doing changes, sometimes what you want to do changes.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
I'm gonna give a quick story about me, and I may have talked about some of this before, but I still always like to share. So, I came up as a business strategist in corporate, right, in corporate
Yeah.
America for several years. And then when I started my own business, I started as a weight loss company. So, helping women lose weight, feel better, have more energy, all of those things. And that's always been a passion of mine. Even as I moved
Yeah.
back into business strategy, I still will always have some sort of membership or even my YouTube channel where
Yeah.
I'm talking about health because I'm super passionate about it, right?
Mhm.
But as time went on, and especially over the past 6 months to actually it's been more than 6 months, about 9 months ago, my entire life changed.
Mhm.
My business was thriving. I was hosting retreats. I had amazing clients who were doing really well. Life was great. And then things shattered, right?
Yeah.
Meaning, I've mentioned this, I mean, you, of course, you know this because you're my friend already, but for those
Yeah.
who know me well, I lost several people in my family like back to back over less than a 6 month period.
Yeah.
And not only did it change the way that my health was, but
Mhm.
like I gained weight, my cortisol levels were through the roof, I was stressed, it was not good, right?
Yeah.
And so there was that, and it changed what I wanted to do career wise. Like
Mm.
I pretty much kind of threw away my business for a while. I didn't want to do it anymore. I didn't want to
Yeah.
do so many of the things that I was doing. I just wanted to like, I only focused on sales because that was something that was kind of simpler for me, which is funny to say because a lot of people are like, I hate sales. And I'm like, oh, I can do
Right.
that. So
Yeah.
right, I focused on uh, not only teaching sales, but also selling for people and continue to focus on the health stuff on my YouTube and things like that.
Mhm.
Uh, but then here recently, a friend of mine reached out to me, and I hadn't been looking or thinking about a job. Like I had just been thinking, you know what, I can keep doing the sales thing. I'm making enough money. Wasn't what I used to make, but it's doing okay.
Right.
So I was like, I can keep doing that and, doing my YouTube, that'll continue to grow. And of course, my wellness membership will continue to grow. So that'll be
Right.
fun. I'll be fine. And a friend of mine came to me and was just like, hey, I just started at this company. It's a small company, and they're looking for someone that has these skills that you have. And I was like, I'll take a call,
Mhm.
no big deal. I talked to them, and the people sound amazing. The company sounds amazing. And I
Yeah.
was, you know what? I'm going to do it. I was like, and what's so funny is as I was thinking I'm going to do it, what first hit me was, oh my gosh, people are going to look at me weird because, you know, I am now going back to work after being an entrepreneur for
Mm.
8 years. And
Mm.
I taught entrepreneurs how to grow their businesses, how to leave corporate and do all these things. And now
Mm.
I'm going back to work. It was
Right.
a little shame, a little
Oh,
embarrassment.
yeah. Oh, I wanna go back to a couple things you said. One is that you weren't necessarily looking, but you took the call, and
Mhm.
I wanna remind people of that. Always take the call. If
Yes.
it is if taking the call is not a such a burden to you,
Mhm.
get more information. At the very least, you've gotten some, you know, networking in, maybe some practice with interviewing. Like, there are few downsides to taking the call unless you literally do not have a spare minute to take the
Yes.
call, because you can learn more and it will open up the door to opportunities you may not have been looking for, but can
Mhm.
be very, beneficial. The other one is that what are people gonna think piece.
Mhm.
That's so huge because we were saying, it's okay if things change, it's okay if you change, it's okay if whatever,
Mhm.
but we didn't really address the, like, well, what are other people gonna think? Are people gonna
Mhm.
think, "Well, I failed at my business?"
I
Are people
know.
gonna think, whatever it is, or I'm desperate, that's why I'm going for this
Mhm.
job, or
Right.
I gave right? And that's a big piece of it that we didn't really address yet. I'm so glad you mentioned that. So how did
Mhm.
you what did you do about those feelings?
So what's funny is I don't normally think or care about what people think,
Mm.
but I realized that's the first thing that came up, like,
Wow.
in me, and I was like, "What? Who is this?" Like, when did I start doing that?
Yeah.
Because I think it's like, we tend to treat our business like our babies a little bit.
Mm.
So when somebody comes from for our child, it's like, "Hold up, what's" you start to get, you know,
Right. Defensive, yeah.
defensive, and I think that's what kinda came up, like, what if
Mm.
somebody says something and I'm gonna start getting. And I thought,
Right.
"You know what? At the end of the day, I have to think about what was right for me." And when I
Mhm.
think about what was right for me, I think about the fact that, um, from a money standpoint, right, I'm doing well in my business, but I have to do things. I know this sounds wild, but when you think about it, like there is entire structures and you've got to, there's a lot of moving pieces when you're running a business.
Mhm.
And I may not be like right now, I'm not, it's not something I want to be doing. Just
Yeah.
from a mental space after all that loss
Yeah.
over this past year, it's like, it's almost like I want to just be like, able to not chill, but, like, able to just like I can just do this on autopilot, you know?
Right. And my income is not reliant on, am
Mhm.
I doing each and everything to keep this business sustained?
Exactly. You
It's
know,
I'm gonna do my job and they're gonna pay me.
yes, and sometimes it's easy, like, that's just a space that you're in, and for me, that's
Mhm.
where I am, like, right now, it's just like, do my job and pay me, cool, you know?
Yeah,
And so there was that piece of it, and frankly, what they're like, the salary is better than what I'm currently paying myself in my business.
right.
Because like I said, I threw a lot of my business away. You know, I
Mhm.
had retreats, I had a mastermind, I had, several things that I had in place that were sustaining, but I hadn't gotten to the space of building out the structure so
Mhm.
others could run the masterminds and the
Right,
retreat.
it wasn't automated.
Exactly.
Mhm.
And so that it required me, and I did not I don't wanna do it right now. Like,
Yeah.
I know it's wild to say, but I just don't want to right now, you
Well, and
know?
you keep saying
Um,
that. It's not wild to say.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
completely normal to say. So many people are burnt out right now,
Mhm.
and I cannot imagine how much would be compounded on that if I had experienced the amount of loss that you did.
Right. Yeah.
It makes complete sense to me that
Mhm.
you would not wanna do some of those things,
Yeah.
and
Right.
that's okay.
'Cause it's like it's so funny because if you asked me in, October, right? Like the beginning of October, I'm like, "I love it. Things are going amazing." And then
Yeah,
October 30th, everything just went out the window. So now when everything went, it was like I didn't wanna do I any of it. It was
yeah.
like, so it's like it went from being in this amazing space in my business and in personal life to
Mhm.
personal life hitting impacting so much that it's impacting the business. And I was just
Yeah.
like, "You know what? I'd rather just go and do a job,
Mhm.
and it's gonna pay me more than what I'm making right now in my business, right?
Right.
And it gives me, the flexibility to be able to, you know, to be able to I still work from home. I'm still
Mhm.
able to still run pieces of my business that I want to continue running and doing,
Right.
you know?
Right. Your
You
business is still there, it's not going away, or even if you were putting it on pause completely, that doesn't mean it's gone forever.
Exactly.
It
Yep.
is that this is not serving me the way it was 10 months ago,
Exactly. Yep.
and I need something different right now. And that doesn't mean anything for what's gonna happen next.
Yep.
I just wanna congratulate you
Oh, thank you.
on recognizing those things in yourself because it is not easy to, live a transition and see it,
Yeah.
right? You're living it, you're in it, and then you also stepped back
Mhm.
and said, "Wait a minute, some things have changed and I don't feel the same way about these things." And
Yeah.
that's not easy. And then to act on it and to make a choice that's not easy, but that is going to serve you well is a
Mhm.
huge deal. So and I want to congratulate you and praise you for that and let our listeners know and our viewers that that's a big deal to
Mm.
make a change
Yes.
when to make a change that you wouldn't have maybe a year ago,
Right.
but
Exactly.
acknowledging that things are different and that
Mhm.
that's okay because you need something different right now, and making that change is going to serve you so that you can do the things you wanna do in the future.
Exactly. It's like everything you always look at things as it's for like we get to look at things as this is where I am right now, this decision I
Mhm.
make based on what's happening right now.
Yeah.
And like for me right now, this is just the easiest, it's just the simplest thing to do, you know?
Yeah.
And it allows us to continue to live the lives that we want to live, be able to, I want to take my family to Kenya next
Yeah.
year. And I'm like, I don't see that happening if I'm running my
Mhm.
business the way I am right now,
Right. Right.
unless I decide to reopen the mastermind or do some different things
Mhm.
I don't want to do right now. So
Right.
it's just like I, I think I think the lesson here is looking at your current space and what it is that you want. And for me, I prayed about it and I was like, Lord, please open the doors that are supposed to open and close the ones
Mhm.
that should be closed. Because right now I didn't feel like I had the mental capacity to do it myself,
Yeah.
And like I'm like and when I was looking at that, I was like, if they make me the offer that I can't refuse, basically, then I'll take it. The
Yeah.
vacation time I want, the pay I want, like all these different things that
Mhm.
align with the lifestyle that I want to live. I'll take it. And
Right,
yeah,
and that's where we started this conversation, right, is would you
mhm,
do it for this dollar amount? Right,
right,
if they were coming in at that 50,000, you would have said, "No,
no,
thanks, I'm gonna keep doing my business."
right,
But they came in at the number you were or
mhm,
maybe the number you were looking for or close to it,
right,
and, so again, like, you need to decide for yourself what that number is because we are not out here telling you, "Okay, if stuff is hard with your business, go get the first job you can, even if it's a terrible salary."
oh my gosh, yeah,
This is, always be evaluating your situation. I'm thinking about our conversation with Deanna Jean, where she's
mhm,
always analyzing the 3 Gs, right?
right,
It's goals, gifts, and gaps.
yeah,
What are your goals? Those can change. So be
yeah,
evaluating what your goals are. What are your gifts? And how
mm,
can you live into those gifts? And what are
mhm,
the gaps? And right now, some of those gaps are I don't want to be doing some of the stuff
yeah,
that that I have to do.
right,
I want
what
to
may
do something
align with
different.
my gifts, but I don't feel like doing it. I don't do 'em, yeah,
Right. Right. And
mhm,
so the fact that you can be reevaluating as things change, everything is fluid.
mhm,
Um, and it's about doing what's best for you right now or best for you and your family or whatever it is. So, to anyone who is an entrepreneur, especially I think solopreneurs, we get so involved in, we are the brand.
mhm,
And so it's so personal when
yeah,
the brand needs to shift or change.
yeah, I absolutely agree.
So I'm inviting each and every one of you to take care of yourself so
Yeah,
that you can take care of the people in your life
mhm.
and make the decisions that are right for you regardless of what people are going to think or say about your child, your business,
I
right?
know, right.
Cuz you got to do you.
You gotta do what's right for you,
Yeah.
and we can't be worried about what other people say. There are people who are so worried about what people say that they haven't even told me one. And I'm like,
Yes.
why not? Like, especially if you're someone who shares everything. If you're out here sharing everything and then you're like, oh, I'm not gonna share that, that's because of someone else. Now you're making decisions based on
Right.
someone else, not based on you.
Right.
You know? So
Mm.
yeah.
Oh, that's such a good point. Well, congrats again. I'm so excited for you. And I
Thank you.
love that you are still doing the aspects of the business that, that are going to be
Yeah.
serving you while you're doing this work. So this isn't, goodbye to Ileka, right? Like she you're
Right.
still here doing it. So I'm so excited for you and I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing your story with us because, as we said, so many people are in this space thinking about it and it's important to see other people who are on that journey and
Mhm.
to see what's possible because so many of us are just seeing the successes and the highlights of people's businesses. So I'm so thankful for you sharing with with our audience.
Thank you. Yes, and to that point, so many people are used to seeing the highlights of the business, and so many cover up the low things in personal that could be affecting the business, and
Yeah.
it's so important. Ooh, that might be another topic that we we get into one day. Yeah,
Yeah.
how
Yeah,
life can affect your business. Yeah. So
absolutely. Well,
topics on the fly, but
yeah. Well, I think we can end it there, but thank you all so much for joining us. And if you are an entrepreneur and you're experiencing changes in your life or in your business or in the market, in the economy,
Mhm.
in just your age and your energy levels, right? I mean, some of us are I'm just not built to work that many
Mhm.
hours a week anymore. I encourage you to reevaluate and to think
Mhm.
about what your priorities are and how you can best live your life.
Yeah. And comment below if, comment in here if you have considered going back to work or if you already have done it. So let us know your experiences. We love reading the comments. We love hearing about it.
Mhm. And if you, like me, are doing both, right? You're working and doing the business, let us know. I never left, but I'm chugging along, right? Let us know in the
Exactly.
comments. We wanna engage with you and remind each other that we're not alone in this.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thanks again, and we will see you in the next one.
Take care.
Hey, thanks for watching the Getting Black Women Paid podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation, make sure you like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can catch more episodes like this one.
And join the conversation by leaving a comment below. Be sure to share this channel with incredible Black women in your life so we can continue getting Black women paid.
All right. We'll see you in the next one.